Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivara Dhari. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranja. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranja. Jamunatira Vanachadi. Jamunatira Vanachadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivara Dhari. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranja. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranja. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariyajagacharya Askacharya Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Yantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading this morning 2 verses, Canto 10, Chapter 71. What's on the board here is text 6, and we'll also go to text 7. Dvairate satuje tavyo mashataksho nihis yutaha Brahmanya Vyatito Viprayer Na Pratyakyati Karhichit Dvairate Satujetavyo Mashatakshonihi Shohini Yutaha Brahmanyo Vyatito Viprayer Pratyakyati Karhichit Dvairate Satujetavyo. Men? Dvairate, in combat involving only two chariots. Saha, he, two, but. Jetavyaha is to be defeated. Ma, not. Shata, by 100. Akshohini, military divisions. Yutaha, joined. Brahmanyaha, devoted to Brahminical culture. Abhyartitaha, entreated. Viprai, by Brahmanas. Na pratyakyat, na pratyakyati, does not refuse. Karhichit, ever. Translation. he will be defeated in a match of single chariots, and not when he is with his 100 military divisions. Now, Jarasandha is so devoted to Brahminical culture that he never refuses requests from Brahmanas. Purport. It might be argued that since only Bhima could equal Jarasandha in personal strength, Jarasandha would be more powerful when supported by his huge army. Therefore, Uddhava here recommends single combat. But how could Jarasandha be persuaded to give up the support of his powerful army? Here, Uddhava gives the clue. Jarasandha will never refuse a request from Brahmanas, since he is devoted to Brahminical culture. And translation of text 7. Bhima should go to him disguised as a Brahmana and beg charity. Thus, he will obtain single combat with Jarasandha, and in your presence, Bhima will no doubt kill him. And the purport, the idea is that Bhima should beg as charity for a one-on-one fight with Jarasandha. So most likely you're all quite familiar with the context, but having been through Vana's appearance day and Nityananda's appearance day and all that stuff, a refresh is probably good. Going back a couple of chapters, Krishna's activities in Dwarka are described. It's described later in the Bhagavatam also, the final chapter of Canto 10. Really, really nice description. The opulences of Dwarka are beyond the opulences of anything, even in Vaikuntha, even in heaven, anywhere. And Krishna was with his associates, eternal associates, enjoying his eternal pastimes. And towards the end of that chapter, two things happened. A messenger came in the midst of the assembly in Dwarka. The messenger received the message from the messenger sent by many kings. Help! Jarasandha has imprisoned us, and we're your devotees, and we can't get out of prison. Help! Lo and behold, around the same time, or at the same time, Narada Muni arrived. And Narada Muni said, your dear devotee, Yudhisthira, is desiring your presence in Indraprastha because he wants to perform the Rajasuya Yagya. So two requests. He turns to his dearest associate in Dwarka, Uddhava, friend, servant, and minister. This is called mixed rasas in Rupa Goswami's language. But he plays his role perfectly because he's singularly devoted to Krishna. And he's going to offer some advice because Krishna's asked him. And his advice is very good. Yudhisthira's request, very good. Several things by one thing will be accomplished. Now there's one of the qualities, and I'm forgetting the Sanskrit, for one of the qualities of Krishna is there's 64 qualities, and one of them is by achieving one thing, so many other things are accomplished. So the Sanskrit word is chatura, or literally clever, which means by doing one thing, many things are accomplished. So Krishna's entrusting his cleverness to Uddhava, who understands several things by one thing can be accomplished. One, your dear devotee, Yudhisthira. So he's favoring. Krishna is asking what to do. So he do the Rajasuya Yajna because the fame of Yudhisthira will be spread. The world will be given a ruler that's virtuous, and your devotees will feel protected by you through Yudhisthira. So it's a win-win-win. Chatura. Cleverness. One thing accomplishes several things. And simultaneously, the Rajasuya Yajna by rule means, or it's a necessity for one who wants to do that, that all other kings in the world have to accept sovereignty. Otherwise you can't do the Rajasuya Yajna. So go to Indraprastha, and give your association to Yudhisthira, support the Rajasuya Yajna with his military strength and the other four brothers. They will subdue all kings except one. And that one who cannot be subdued by anyone is Jarasandha. He's this other guy that has put so many kings in prison because he's mean and powerful. And there's only one person who can defeat Jarasandha, and that's Bhima. However, if there's an attempt from Bhima and the armies of the Pandavas to go confront Jarasandha with his Shata Akshohini, 100 Akshohini divisions of soldiers. You know the numbers. The numbers are really, really big. One Akshohini division means so many this and that and the other things and the other things. And he's got 100 of them. And you go to have combat with him, and he's not going to stand on the battlefield alone. He'll be with his 100 Akshohini divisions. And many people will unnecessarily be killed. So don't confront him that way. Confront him a different way. What's the different way? He's a demon. He despises you. He despises your devotees. And he'll fight to the end. However, if there's single combat, one chariot against another chariot, one fighter against another fighter, that's the best plan. But how to do that? Why is he going to give up his armies when 100 Akshohini divisions, that's powerful. Why is he going to give up that power? And the answer is, although he's a demon and he despises you, Krishna, and your devotees, the Pandavas, there's one redeeming quality, one of the things that gives him strength. What's that one thing that gives him strength? He's very devoted to Brahmanas. Just yesterday evening, one of the classes I gave was to a group of devotees on verses from Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, verses 8 through 12. Really nice section of Bhagavad Gita. And in those 8 through 12, it's the way it's described by Baladev Vidyabhusan is the process of knowledge. The process of knowledge leads to the goal of knowledge, or liberation, or perfect devotion to Krishna. So, in answer to the question, Jnanam and Gyayam, the process of knowledge and the object of knowledge, Krishna starts with describing 20 qualities. They're qualities, but he's calling these qualities the process of knowledge, because without qualities you can't get knowledge. And Jarasandha is an example. And of those 20 qualities, the first two, who knows what the first two are? Amanitvam badam bidvam. Right? And a very nice description given in the scriptures of Adam Bitvam, humility and pridelessness. Pride is that when you do something, you want something. And when you get that something, you take pride in it. So if you do virtue, you get the fruits of virtue. So pridelessness, this nice description, you do that which is to be done, but not with the intention of getting something. Now, the description from the Acharyas is that that was not the position of Jarasandha. He wasn't prideless because he did stuff, devotion to Brahmanas, because he wanted to be known as a pious man. He wanted it, specifically the Acharyas say, this is his tamagun. Devoted to Brahmanas in tamagun. Is the mix possible? Jarasandha. Devoted to Brahmanas with the intention of becoming known as a pious man, or religious man, or a dharmic man. He followed dharmic. He submits himself without question, without exception, always to a Brahmanas. Knowing that tamagun, acceptance of service at the request of Brahmanas, Bhima should go in disguise as a Brahmana. For some reason, our acharyas in their commentary, universally, they speak of Bhima as thin-waisted. So while he's, how's powerful, big, muscular Kshatriya Bhima going to pass as a Brahmana? Well, he was thin-waisted. Apparently that was something that helped him pass as a, when eventually when they came, the three of them came as Brahmanas. Three means, so Krishna went to, he did what Uddhava said. He went to Indraprastha. That's what this chapter is titled. He went to Indraprastha. He was received very wonderfully. And for some time, for some months, some other things happened while he was there. But the plan was that the military strength of the Pandavas went to throughout the land, defeating other kings to gather the gifts that had been given to Yudhisthira in submission to his becoming the emperor amongst kings. The kings gave tribute. And the Pandavas had this plan. They didn't want to relinquish the tribute that had been given, necessary for the yajna, wasted on a big war with Jarasandha. Because waging war costs money. So they wanted to do that. So they all agreed on, when Krishna revealed Uddhava's plan, it's a good plan. So when the three, you know the story, but when the three went as Brahmanas, disguised as brahmanas, Jarasandha didn't figure it out right away. I mean, that's a little surprising, but because who doesn't recognize Krishna? But he didn't recognize Krishna as a when disguised as a brahmana, and powerful Bhima, big, strong, muscular Bhima. Couldn't recognize him as a Kshatriya. But anyway, he was flattering them. I learned this vocabulary word from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In case you want to expand your vocabulary, read his writings and have a dictionary with you. And then you'll learn vocabulary words that you're not familiar with. So one of those vocabulary words that I learned recently is sycophant. Not P, not psycho, but S. Sycophant means one who flatters people purposefully to get some favor from them. Sycophant. So Bhaktisiddhanta's description as a guru is not a sycophant. He doesn't go to wealthy followers and flatter them for the purpose of gaining some favor from them. That's not guru. They went not... Jarasandha was the sycophant. He was flattering, "Oh, Brahmanas, what would you like? You come, anything you'd like, blank check, fill in the amount." "Okay, sure. We would like a fight with you." "Oh. So you're Kshatriyas? You're not Brahmanas? You want to fight with..." Because Brahmanas don't ask for fights. But because they were dressed as Brahmanas, he said, "Very well. But now I see who you are. And Krishna's a coward. I don't want to fight him. He ran from the battlefield. Arjuna's just a small fry. But that big one, I'll fight him." Bhima. So he knew eventually. But initially, he was a Tamagun fellow. He was powerful, and with that power he had some material savvy, but he didn't put two and two together properly to understand who they were. And even when he understood who they were, he's ready because they're dressed as brahmanas. So that was the plan. Send Bhima dressed as a brahmana, request battle, single one-to-one combat, and the commentary says, because the strength of Jarasandha is so great, Bhima alone could not defeat him. But Krishna, in your presence, he will defeat him. And sure enough, the battle went for days and days and days, and neither was victorious till Krishna gave the cue or clue how to defeat him. And sure enough, he was defeated. Not exactly by hand-to-hand combat or club-to-club combat or that kind of combat, but by the cleverness of Krishna. Rip him in half, because he's Jarasandha. And it worked. Jarasandha was finished. And because Jarasandha was finished, it was then legitimate, finish that part, and then the Rajasuya Yaga could proceed, because all the kings in the world had been either defeated or submitted. And now they had all this gifts given by kings that they could use for the yagi, which is a very expensive affair. So that covers our 2 verses for this morning. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. Continuing. Any discussion? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
You're on. It's on. It's on.
If we know already Bhima is the one who is going to
Say it again slower.
if is Bhima is the one who is going to defeat.
I can't follow. Speak up. The microphone works. It's not the
If
microphone's problem. Your voice has to be projected.
if
Can you hear
Bhima is
me
going to
okay?
defeat, why did Arjuna also went? Why did Krishna took Arjuna also with him?
Why did Krishna do what?
Why did Krishna took Arjuna with him?
Because why? Oh, he's his friend. Why not? I mean, it's a Leela. Arjuna is Krishna's dearmost friend. He didn't have to bring Arjuna. He could have just sent Bhima disguised as a Brahmana. But, they went together and made an appeal. It was just a Leela. And then the rest of the Leela was what the rest of Leela was. Not this one, not that one, only that one. So it was just part of the Leela. He selected his combatant, not vice versa. He submitted to the request of disguised Brahmanas, or non-Brahmanas disguised as Brahmanas. It was his choice, and then it was his choice who he would have combat with. It's part of the Leela. Krishna's dear friend is Arjuna, so he's going to watch the fun. It's a good question. Another question over here.
The same question, Simran.
Oh, you got to be louder than that.
The same question. How to understand going devotees of Krishna, go, going as Brahmanas in disguise to Jarasandha?
Say it again with double the volume. I can't hear you. My hearing is bad and the sound system doesn't work well with my hearing. Louder. Strong.
Devotees of Krishna,
The which of Krishna?
devotees,
Devotees of Krishna.
they went in disguise to Jarasandha. They went in a disguise.
Not all the devotees, it's just those three. My understanding is it was just the three of them, disguised as Brahmanas.
Yeah. But
So?
going as a disguise is not a truth way.
Yeah, it's a deception.
How to understand that?
Oh, it's no problem. Krishna's the absolute truth. So it's not like he makes the rules, but he violates the rules he makes. It's not about rule. Why did Krishna tell Yudhishthira to lie? Why did, this and why that? Part of the why is to indicate to you and me and everybody why he makes the rules. He's not bound by the same rules. Now, normally, and then there's exception. Normally, he'll abide by truth. But one of the reasons why, you know this, one of the reasons why Krishna said to Arjuna, declare it boldly, my devotees never vanquished. And the explanation is because Krishna may break his word, but you declare it, because I'll uphold the word of my devotee. So it's just Krishna's nature teaching lessons. One of the lessons is it's quite okay for him to come as a disguise because there's a higher purpose. Now, you and I can't start fudging. I've got a higher purpose so I can lie. We can't do that. We must not do that. But those that are on the platform, even devotees, what to speak of Krishna, devotees that are on the platform of spontaneous love of God, they may do things in spontaneous love that's in violation of codes of proper conduct for dharmic people. Here's a nice example. I forget his name. One of the Alvars in Sri Sampradaya, very strict with following. He's one of their predecessor personalities. When he went to Sri Rangam, he saw the deity was without a proper temple. So he went and requested people to give some donation for building a proper temple for Ranganath. And they didn't. So what did he do? You know what he did? You know what he did, right? He had 4 men that each had mystic powers, and they used those mystic powers to rob people. Now, you don't rob people, even with good intention. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. But he did it, and he's glorified for doing it because he was on such a platform. He can do it, and it's not sinful. Now, where's the line between one who's spontaneous and the devotee, not Krishna, one who's spontaneous and one who's not and does it? It's not like black and white, but it's a principle. Is that okay? You have another one.
Yeah.
Question 2. Yes.
How to grow oneself from expecting or thinking about results of activity.
Help. You hear what she said?
Like,
Do it again.
yes,
You're trying hard. I'm just like a useless fellow. So be kind on me. Go ahead.
you said pridelessness. Jarasandha is prideful.
Jarasandha is
Pride.
prideful. Yes. Oh yeah.
He is expecting something out of by giving charity.
Yes.
So then, actually, generally the tendency is there, expecting something out of doing activity.
Yes, most of us are conditioned souls.
So how to grow from that place?
Here's a lesson from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 8 through 12. Very simple. By this one quality, the other 19 will follow. What's the one quality? Maichananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharani. You're familiar, correct? No? Avyabhachari means undivided or can't be stopped by anything. What can't be stopped? Mayi, unto me, cha, ananya bhakti, undivided devotion. Avyabhicharani, can't be stopped by anything. That's the one quality. If you can move towards that one quality, these other qualities are taken care of. Or as I was saying yesterday, the horse pulls the cart. The cart's the 19, and the horse is the 1. So that's our focus, undivided devotion that can't be checked by anything. Maya unto Krishna. And until you get there, there's going to be a mix. And that's also there in the commentary by Yaracharya, by Baladev's commentary. Sometimes there's a mix. Most of the time there's a mix, but there's unmixed. And until, it's a detail, but until one becomes unmixed, then there's some influence of Gyan in with Bhakti. So Gyan, Mishra Bhakti. So I should be prideless. I know I should be prideless. But it's, I know it, but I'm not prideless. And the unmixed is Mai Chananya Yogena Cha. Mai Cha. He points to, Baladev points to that word Cha, means and. So there's mixed and there's unmixed. So there's an answer to your question, that the one quality can bring you to the point of pridelessness and all the other desirable things. Are you with me? Okay. Another way of saying the same thing. It's the same thing. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving a definition of faith. And the definition that he gives is, by achieving one thing, all other desirable things are accomplished, and I have confidence in that. Shraddha Shabde Vishvas Kahi Sudrita Nishchaya. That's the Bengali. It says, faith means confidence that by achieving one thing, all other desirable things become accomplished. So pridelessness is a desirable thing. I'm not there yet. I'd like to have become prideless. To become prideless, do this one thing, and that and all other desirable things will come. And what's that one thing? Krishna Bhakti, Sarva Karma Kritahoya. All good things come from that one thing. Krishna Bhakti. Krishna is vocative. Unto Krishna. Until then, it's mixed. That's most of us. But we have confidence this will carry me to the prideless state. Anyone else? Srila Prabhupada. Oh, Krishnarchana. Go ahead. But you have a strong voice, so I know I'll be able to hear everything you say.
It's just a very simple thing. You've been pointing out that Jarasandha was a person in ignorance, or the mode of ignorance was influencing him. But because of his, it's said devotion to Brahminical culture, which you pointed out, is more with the purpose of having the image of being a pious person.
Yes.
It still seems quite a challenging thing mentally to imagine that he's going to be fighting with Bhima, who's dressed as a Brahmana. So, one would imagine that there would be a conflict in the mind if you still are, even if he understands this is a Kshatriya, there's still the problem that he's dressed as a Brahmana. I would imagine that'd be a little bit of a problem.
Yes, he could have processed that way. And he said, very well, you're not Brahmanas. You're cheaters. You're not Brahmanas. Brahmanas don't cheat. You're not Brahmanas. But that's okay. You're dressed as Brahmanas. So honor that. It was his choice. He didn't have to choose that. But he chose that. In part because he's prideful. I don't mind combat with any one of you. You're not Brahmanas. You want combat because you're Brahmanas. Brahmanas don't want combat. So that's okay. Let's have combat. Prideful. Not for purpose of gaining piety, and thus that was where his strength was coming from. The charitableness to brahmanas. That's made him strong. And now he has strong strength and he's prideful. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the class and everything.
Speak clearly.
How does a person know when it's time for them to take on saffron?
When it's time to do what?
When it's time to wear saffron?
Oh,
How
that's
does a
right
person
on
know?
topic. When is it time? You want to answer that question? Did you ever ask him that question? Yes, he's asked that question. And what answer did you get when you asked him that question?
I think if I hardly remember, but I don't want to say it like in front of everybody.
Do the best. Do your best.
But you decide that you don't want to have engage in sense gratification.
And there, it is not want to, but there's some consistency. Consistency, 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 consistency. Squeaky clean consistency. It doesn't mean never. It's not. It's impossible to become subject to the mind and senses. But consistency in principle, and consistency in non-indulgence. And that means, implicit is, there's a consistent aspiration for a higher principle than that principle. So that's a sign. And some people are more cautious, some people are more, many of the persons who Prabhupada permitted to become brahmachari, it was known they would not forever remain, in their lifetime, remain brahmachari. But it was a stage, so your situation is different than just like a new bhakta who becomes a brahmachari. Your situation is different than that. Yours in a mature stage of bhakti life, and therefore this answer that I just gave, a consistent in this direction and away from that direction. Consistent. Then there's readiness. And then it's good for you or someone in your kind of situation to consult persons who have established themselves in bhakti life, and they don't have to be themselves brahmachari, but persons that are mature, I call it village elders. They're mature Vaishnavas. And they've demonstrated consistency in their ashram and their devotional life. Consult those persons. So then you get sadhu sangha. Can't lose. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.